Today we're going to do some drawing with watercolor pencils, and we will use one of the images from this wonderful book, Flowers of Ada, that I would highly recommend for anyone who wants to draw, who wants to practice, but maybe having lack of ideas what to draw. This book has plenty of inspiration for you. Every spread has this page with the plant and a brief description of the plant in English and Japanese. So here is the image that I selected to draw for this video. But before we start, I want to share with you the first one that I drew from this book, this peony. And I was quite happy with the result, so it encouraged me to select a bunch of other images, and I'm planning to draw at least 10 plants from this book. And here I start with the flower that is in the center of the composition, making sure that I include the main shapes of this picture. So all the leaves, and look at this stem that is disjointed. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if it was done deliberately or mistakenly. So here I am outlining very lightly all the leaves that are very important for good balance. The leaf that is in front and the back of the flower, and everything is intertwining kind of very nicely, harmoniously. So we want to have a very good composition. I keep repeating this word because I think it's one of the most important emphasis of creating a successful picture. Composition, composition, composition. Everything has to be balanced. We can start with one flower like here, and I'm testing how I can work with this paper in the best possible way so it will give me a good sense of controlling the shade of the color. I don't know if it is important to name the colors of the pencils. Please leave a comment if you think it is important to mention the name of the colored pencils that I'm using in my picture, because when I am watching other artists, I don't normally pay attention to the numbers of or the names of the paint or colors they're using, because ultimately it's going to be my choice. But maybe it is important for most viewers, so I would really appreciate if you mention it in the comments, because then I would put an effort to make that information available to you. All right? So my main idea for watercolor pencils in this video was to determine whether I prefer to use a watercolor brush or a colorless blender. And you will see that I try to use both. Yes, watercolor brush showed that it releases a little too much water and I don't feel like I'm in control. So the blender gives me full control how much I want to and how accurately I want to blend certain colors. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And I'm definitely a lot more comfortable with the watercolor pencils, even though I have a very inexpensive brand, because I wasn't sure if I want to invest in like Caran d'Ache. At some point I will buy a good set of pencils, but right now it's good enough for me. And this paper is not hot press watercolor paper, which is suggested and recommended by most artists because it's more smooth and it's easier to work with. So maybe you would like to do that instead. But because I had quite a few of these watercolor pads, I thought I might as well utilize them. The water brush is very useful when it's a large area or shape to fill, to make it more blended. And then I still use the blender. After I finish activating all the colors, you see it becomes so much brighter, so nice. So after I activate this first layer, I will dry it thoroughly. If you're not sure how bright you want it to be, how dark, it's better to make it pale first time, because we can always add more layers later. But to add the second layer, it has to be dried completely. Here is my first layer, and I'm impatient, so I'm using hair dryer to dry it. And then I left it for a few minutes also to stay and ensure that it's completely dry, before I add more shading with the darker pencils. And I also wanted to create this kind of texturized look. And that's another reason that I wanted to use this paper, because it is quite toothy. It has lots of those bumps that, on the one hand, for novice it could be a little bit frustrating to use, but on the other hand, it gives you this interesting texturized look. The challenge is, like here when I'm trying to outline it, it's not that easy to create a very, very sharp outline. But that's okay. That's a certain look that I may enjoy. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you watched all the way through. Thank you for all your feedback. Please leave a comment if you want to share something with me, if you have any questions. I hope this video inspired you to practice your watercolor pencils, because it's easy, it's fun, and it's wonderful. And if this book inspired you too, I have a link in the description. Have a wonderful day or night. Thanks for watching. Please come back soon.